there's like mud in the bathtub, like mud on the bathroom floor. Carpet's just like soaked.
A major mess caused by a massive sinkhole in an East End neighborhood.
From pavement to pit overnight, basements flooded, a busy intersection shut down. Good evening. We begin with anger and frustration over a sinkhole that swallowed up almost an entire East End intersection. It
also flooded basements in the area, and making matters worse, residents say it could have been prevented. CTV's Beth McDonnell joins us live from the scene at Coxwell and Cosburn with the latest. Beth.
Nathan, Michelle, this is a seriously big sinkhole. It's wider than 2 lanes of traffic. Crews have been working steadily all day. We're going to show you the latest right now. We just saw this machine putting in some dirt into the pit. We actually can also see that new blue pipe that's gone in there. And just a few minutes ago, crews were actually testing some water. So they've made a lot of progress, but there's still a lot of work to do. A giant sinkhole has opened up at Coxwell and Cosburn. The pavement turned into broken slabs, now at the bottom of a pit with underground pipes exposed.
It's absolutely insane.
The problem started, the city says, Wednesday night with a broken water main.
That's crazy, and it's like coming out of the sidewalk like oil.
The water flooded the street, damaged the pavement, and created the sinkhole, shutting down the East York intersection. Evelyn Ruiz was shocked to see all the water and says she called 311 shortly after 10. Still, the water eventually seeped into her and her neighbors' basements, making a mess.
We're absolutely terrified and horrified to see this in our house again, water back in our house again.
This morning, get up, my wife's like, you got to see the basement. And so there's like a layer of mud about 2 centimeters thick.
The city says there wasn't a water main break at the intersection in July. Instead, it was a valve repair unrelated to the situation now. With respect to the sinkhole, the city says emergency crews initially responded to a smaller water main break with some water running into a catch basin. But it became more severe throughout the night, prompting crews to shut off the water to prevent further damage. Some residents feel the flooding could have been prevented.
They had a water main break just across the street that they repaired in July, and now they're back, right? So it is a little frustrating, and the response time is not all that great. I mean, somebody called at 10 p.m. to report the problem, and it took until like around 4 a.m. to have the water shut off. That's a long time.
I noticed when we were here for the Canada Day parade, the East York Canada Day parade on July 1st, there was leaking water. So when we saw the sinkhole this morning, it wasn't really much of a surprise because it's been going on for a while.
The city says teams worked through the night to do repairs and support residents. The intersection is expected to reopen Monday. The city says 4 basement floods have now been reported. It says there is a program to rehabilitate and replace aging water mains, which has really helped, but unexpected repairs are necessary sometimes. The city says it understands how disruptive this has all been to people living and working in the area and is asking everyone for their patience and understanding. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Michelle and Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. We have developing news from the West End. A man was seriously injured in an industrial accident in Etobicoke. Police and paramedics responded to a business on Hyde Avenue in the Rogers and Weston Road area around 2:30 for reports of a man struck by a piece of steel. Police say a man in his 60s was unloading a dump truck at a recycling facility when he was injured. The Ministry of Labor has been notified.
Still ahead, long delayed and off track. Why officials are signaling a September opening of the Eglinton Crosstown LRT is likely not a go.
But first, we turn to the case of a man accused of using his vehicle as a weapon.
An argument in a Tim Hortons parking lot that escalated with 2 pedestrians struck. A suspect now charged with attempted murder. CTV's Sean Leathong is live at Don Mills Road and Gateway Boulevard, where the violence unfolded. Sean.
Well, Michelle and Nathan, police say there was a gathering here last night, and after everything was said and done, the man who was in custody has been arrested several times before.
Tire tracks leading to a damaged fence, the location where a man is alleged to have attempted to run over another using his vehicle.
And there was a call for a collision and some sort of altercation there.
Toronto police getting the call to a parking lot at Don Mills Road and Gateway Boulevard at 10:19 last night.
There was a massive scene there, that there was a vehicle collision involved. There were people that were struck by the vehicle. And within minutes of arriving and doing their investigation, officers were able to place someone in custody.
Police saying there was an altercation between the two men where one man got into his car.
And the suspect, the person that was arrested, did drive their vehicle into the victim.
The man arrested, 33-year-old Idris Gulami, is facing charges of attempt murder, 2 counts of assault with a weapon, mischief over $5,000, dangerous operation of a motor vehicle, dangerous operation of a motor vehicle causing bodily harm, and uttering threats. A man in his 20s and another in his 50s were both injured, one serious but non-life-threatening. The other man had injuries that were not serious.
But for someone to then get out of their car or get into their car and then to run over this person, it is alarming.
And this is not the first time the accused has been charged with attempt murder. Sources have confirmed to CTV News that back in February 2017, Idris Gulami was accused of firing a weapon, nearly missing 2 children inside an apartment building. At the time, he was charged with 4 counts of attempt murder, possession of a weapon for committing an offense, careless use of a firearm, and possession of a firearm while prohibited. Court documents reveal that a psychiatric evaluation of Gulami was ordered in March of 2017, and he was found not criminally responsible in July of that same year. Court documents also reveal charges dating back to 2014 and 2015, where he was charged with assault with a weapon and aggravated assault and theft. Most recently, Gulami was also charged with assault in the fall of 2024. That case is still working its way through the justice system.
And Gulami was set to appear in court today. In the 2024 assault charge, he was supposed to appear in court this coming November. Police would not say if he is currently out on bail, but they have said he remains in custody. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan and Michelle, send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. Toronto police are trying to find a driver who left the scene of a crash in Scarborough. It happened around 2 this morning at Kennedy and Shepherd. One of the vehicles took out a street light and flipped onto its roof. Police say a woman who was driving one of the vehicles ran away and is still outstanding. Nobody was seriously hurt.
How can you drive like this? How? This is not safe.
And drivers did a double take on the Queensway in Mississauga Tuesday afternoon. Look at this. Caught on camera. Peel police confirm it is real. A vehicle had reversed into a building, striking the stairs, which then stayed attached to the car as it drove away. A 22-year-old woman has been charged with careless driving.
Also tonight, keep your head up. The Sky High tradition returns on the last weekend of summer vacation. Canada's longest-running air show takes flight above the CNE.
Now, when it comes to the air show, you want good weather. Fortunately, it's still a few days away because today was a soaker mixed with cool temps. I suspect plenty of people were grumbling, although the sky doesn't look too bad this hour. Let's find out what's happening out there. Lindsay Morrison has your details. Lindsay.
Yeah, we're finally drying out, Michelle, in most parts of the GTA. Still a little bit of wet weather from Mississauga over toward Milton and likely soon to impact areas like Oakville and Burlington. But for the most part, in Toronto, the rain has finished. Still a little drizzly out there. Rain continues for the southwest and for eastern sections of the province, along with Niagara. Winds have eased, but they're now coming from a different direction, coming out of the northwest. That is keeping our temperature cool. We've been in the teens all day long, and overnight tonight, look at that. We could slip to about 9 for a low. That's chilly, and then it's a bit of a repeat temperature for tomorrow. With more in the way of sun, we'll talk about your Friday forecast and take you through the long weekend coming up. But for now, I'll send it back over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. It looks like the Crosstown LRT won't be ready by its latest opening date.
Officials, including the Premier, had suggested a September start was possible for the repeatedly delayed transit project. The TTC's board chair now says that seems unlikely to happen.
I would say that September is not looking likely, but we have not gotten an official word yet from Metrolinx, but I would say that's probably a safe bet.
We've asked Metrolinx about the TTC chair's comments. Construction on the LRT line started all the way back in 2011 and was originally supposed to be finished in 2020, but it's been hit with numerous delays and is now at least $1 billion over budget. The LRT route is 19 kilometers long, running between Mount Dennis and Kennedy Road.
We're learning more about the man accused of breaking into a home in Lindsay, northwest of Peterborough, earlier this month. A newly filed court document shows that Michael Kyle Breen is accused of breaking into an apartment on August 18th, carrying a crossbow. Now, this is the incident where the victim of the break-in was charged after the alleged intruder suffered life-threatening injuries. And it's a case that sparked a debate about how much force a homeowner can use to defend themselves.
A new national report is out taking stock of how athletes are protected from abuse across Canada.
CTV's Andrew Johnson has the details on the findings and the recommendations for change.
Do you see this?
They traveled the country for a year, speaking to hundreds of athletes, administrators, coaches, and parents. The consensus, clear.
The Canadian sports system is in crisis. As many have told us, it is broken.
The Future of Sport in Canada Commission found evidence of widespread abuse and mistreatment at all levels. A lack of protection for children and Olympians alike left vulnerable.
Physical punishment, sexual assault, training while injured, humiliation, intimidation, isolation tactics, failures to provide medical care, discrimination and exploitation.
The commission also found in a win-at-all-costs culture of silence, when an athlete musters up the courage to come forward, they often run into a brick wall.
Lost in the web of various complaints mechanism, resulting in many feeling helpless and abandoned.
The commission is making 71 recommendations for change. It suggests the creation of a unified national safe sport tribunal to eliminate the patchwork between local, provincial, and federally regulated organizations and enforce legislation at all levels. Federal funding being made conditional on compliance, background checks, and a nationwide public registry to flag wrongdoers and restrict access. Survivors of abuse like gymnast Amelia Klein say with the release of this report, their horrible experiences are finally being validated.
To have them influence what we hope is going to be meaningful change in the system is, there are hardly words to actually describe what that feels like.
She says the ball is now in Ottawa's court to act. These are only recommendations that, after another round of feedback, will then be presented to government. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
The Quebec government says it's planning to ban prayer in public places as part of a move to strengthen secularism in the province. Secularism Minister Jean-François Roberge announced the plan today. It comes a few months after Premier François Legault said he didn't want to see people praying in public parks or on streets. The minister didn't say whether Quebec would invoke the notwithstanding clause to allow the bill to override sections of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The Canadian Muslim Forum said a blanket ban would stigmatize communities, fuel exclusion, and undermine Quebec's social cohesion.
At least 19 people are now confirmed dead after a massive Russian drone and missile attack on Kyiv overnight.
Here's CTV's Rachel Aiello on the major escalation at a time when peace talks were supposed to be happening.
Multiple body bags pulled from this smoldering residential building in Kyiv after Russia launched a massive air attack on the capital. Dozens of buildings were hit or damaged by debris. Russia claimed the strikes were targeting Ukraine's military-industrial complex, but the death toll, expected to climb, already includes 4 children.
The Ukrainians are holding very hard, and so the Russians are pounding. They're not willing to negotiate yet.
The attack, the first targeting the city center since the Alaska summit, raising new questions about where U.S. President Donald Trump's peace talks stand.
He was not happy about this news, but he was also not surprised.
The European Union and United Kingdom are summoning Russia's envoys after strikes damage their diplomatic offices in the capital.
We are keeping maximum pressure on Russia.
The Canadian embassy was not hit. Foreign Affairs confirming all staff are safe. But that didn't deter Prime Minister Mark Carney from blasting Russia in a lengthy statement. By murdering when he should be talking, Putin demonstrates in the most horrific manner that his mission to subsume the Ukrainian people under his tyranny continues, Carney said in part. The Prime Minister was just in Kyiv, where he vowed Canada's aid contributions could expand in the event of a ceasefire.
And I would not exclude the presence of troops.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has been working the phones with top world leaders in the aftermath of the attack, thanking them for their support and pressing for tough new sanctions on Russia. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Also today, NATO released new data showing all 32 members are projected to finally meet a long-standing military spending goal this year. The alliance says all members are on track to spend 2% of GDP on defense. There's been a push for higher defense spending since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. U.S. President Donald Trump has also accused members of failing to invest enough in their own security. NATO members agreed back in June to further hike defense spending to 3.5% of GDP. So far, that level is only met by Poland, Lithuania, and Latvia.
The UN Secretary General is renewing calls for a ceasefire in Gaza.
Gaza is piled with rubble, piled with bodies, and piled with examples of what may be serious violations of international law. Hostages taken by Hamas and other groups must be released, and the atrocious treatment they have been forced to endure must stop. Civilians must be protected. And let's be clear, the levels of death and destruction in Gaza are without parallel in recent times.
Those comments come as residents of the Gaza City suburbs say they're coming under intensifying bombardment from Israeli forces. Medics there say at least 16 Palestinians were killed across the enclave today. Israel says it's targeting terrorist organizations and infrastructure. The UN has warned Israel's expanded military operation in Gaza City could have devastating consequences.
To Minneapolis now, where there's been a steady stream of visitors to a memorial at the site of yesterday's church school shooting that left 2 children dead.
I can't imagine sending them to school and not having to be able to pick them up. So, yeah, my hearts are with these families right now. Sad. So sad.
Our son goes to preschool here. He thankfully stays home on Wednesdays, but as soon as we heard the news, it immediately tore us to pieces.
At least 17 other victims were injured in the shooting at the Catholic school. Police identified a 23-year-old suspect who they say was found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. They say the shooter previously attended the school, had no known criminal history, and purchased the weapons used legally. The mayor of Minneapolis said he'd support a renewed push to limit access to some firearms.
I think we'd be happy to ban assault rifles here in Minneapolis. To these families that call Minneapolis home, we love them. Let's love them with more than words. Let's love them with the kind of action that will forever make the difference for people in our city. So the next go-round, there's not another city 2 months from now that is saying the same damn thing.
Police say a videotaped message from the suspect expressed fascination with the perpetrators of previous mass shootings. FBI Director Kash Patel said his agency was investigating the attack as an act of domestic terrorism and hate crime targeting Catholics.
Dramatic developments in Washington. The director of the nation's leading public health agency has been fired, and several top agency leaders have resigned. Susan Menares was dismissed as the director of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention after less than a month on the job. Her lawyers say she was targeted for refusing to rubber stamp unscientific, reckless directives. Following her dismissal, 3 senior CDC leaders resigned, with some saying they're frustrated over vaccine policy. Menares is accusing Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. of weaponizing public health. The secretary has narrowed access to COVID-19 shots and has previously been a vocal vaccination skeptic. The White House says it's working to, quote, restore trust, transparency, and credibility to the CDC.
Her lawyer's statement made it abundantly clear themselves that she was not aligned with the president's mission to make America healthy again. And the secretary asked her to resign. She said she would, and then she said she wouldn't. So the president fired her, which he has every right to do.
This comes amid a growing standoff between the Trump administration and the U.S. Central Bank. Donald Trump said this week he was firing Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, accusing her of lying in financial documents. She filed a lawsuit today saying any attempt to remove her would be illegal. The disagreement is said to be watched closely in the latest battle over the limits of presidential power at the traditionally independent Fed.
Back here at home, countless eyes will be glued to the skies this weekend. The air show is back for another year.
The Canadian snowbirds are always a star attraction, and today you might have spotted them practicing over Toronto. CTV's Corey Barrett has a preview of what's planned this year.
The unmistakable roar of a CF-18 fighter jet means another installment of the Canadian International Air Show is upon us. Fresh off a successful test flight, Captain Andrew Chen is excited to perform in front of a hometown crowd.
I've been doing this for over 4 years, and every time I strap in, it's a refreshed feeling. It's absolutely amazing when you take off.
The air show, an end-of-summer ritual for this pair of 15-year-olds who stood in the pouring rain for 3 hours just to get a sneak peek.
It's just exciting. Yeah. Exciting to watch and see stuff like that. We're both looking to get in the military, become fighter pilots, so just cool to watching. That's a dream.
They can look to Rory Harrison for inspiration. 5 years ago, he watched the show from the ground. Now he pilots this search and rescue helicopter.
I was going to Seneca College in Toronto, and just before orientation week, we went down to the CNE, and the air show was going during that weekend, and I saw the helicopters and the snowbirds. The F-18 demo team was there as well, and it was just a big inspiration to join the forces.
The CTV News chopper captured this footage of the famous Canadian Forces snowbirds, the closing act each day of the air show, because, well, who's going to top the snowbirds?
I want to say no pressure, but we think about everybody that's out there watching, especially in Canada's biggest city. You know, there's going to be essentially millions of eyes on us this weekend.
More than 1 million people are expected to take in the sights and sounds from a variety of vantage points this holiday weekend.
There is great viewing points all across the city, from kind of the Humber Bridge all the way over to Billy Bishop Airport. And it's nice because young families can go and experience the air show without having to spend a lot of money.
For those unable to see the show in person, it will be live streamed free on the air show's website. Corey Baird, CTV News, Toronto.
Coming up, questions are brewing as more beer store locations disappear. So do the options for cashing in on empties. What are the alternatives?
Well, so far today, our temperature has failed to make it out of the teens. The last time we had a high lower than 20 degrees was all the way back on June 13th. The last time we had a low lower than 10 degrees was June 2nd. So it is going to be chilly overnight tonight. Another day where it is below seasonal for tomorrow, but condition-wise, it's different. We do expect more sun, and your long weekend is looking lovely. We'll take you through the forecast coming up, and stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
With more beer store locations slated for closure, many Ontarians are trying to figure out what they'll do with their empty bottles and cans going forward.
CTV's Heather Wright took a closer look at the issue and what it could mean for recycling habits.
Last year, more than 1.6 billion empties were returned to Ontario beer stores, according to the retailer.
It's $33 here.
But with more than 100 locations either shuttered or slated to close by the end of the year, some fear the program won't survive.
Where were those people going to get their money back? You're not going to drive an hour to a beer store.
Most provinces have some sort of deposit return program, whether it's through retailers or purpose-built depots. In Ontario, the program has been run by the beer store for decades, a retailer owned by international brewing companies that once had a monopoly on beer sales in the province. The Ford government canceled that contract, allowing for beer and wine to be sold in grocery and convenience stores, paying a $225 million penalty to end it early.
There is more points of sale to buy it, but what's going to happen with the recycling and the empties?
At this point, it's unclear. According to the province, grocery stores that sell alcohol must begin accepting empties and providing refunds on January 1st. But now some grocers, including Loblaws, Metro, and Sobeys, are rethinking selling booze. Retail settings are not designed to accommodate bulk returns of alcohol containers, the Retail Council of Canada said in a statement. Given the cost and operational complexities of managing alcohol returns, some retailers are reassessing whether it remains viable to continue selling alcohol. The union representing beer store workers expects more closures next year, a hit to recycling efforts and to those who rely on empties to make ends meet.
This is really helpful for us.
The province says the beer store will continue to operate the deposit and return program until 2031. But with more and more stores like this one closing, it's not clear if consumers will go out of their way to return their empties. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
All right, let's talk about the forecast. And we talked about the snowbirds coming earlier. And that's always exciting, but it also means that summer vacation, you know, it's winding down.
I know. At least we get to watch a good show for the occasion. I know it's a little frustrating. Where did the summer go? Are we really at the end of August? Is September really next week? Oh my goodness! And it makes it a little trickier when you've got lousy weather like we had today. I think we could say it sucked. Most of the reporters out there wearing raincoats, but it's not going to stay that way.
I'm so happy to see a little bit of sun for this evening. We're slowly drying out here in the GTA, and you're right. It's not going to stay that way. We spent so much of this summer talking about how we needed rain. We got some today, so that was hopefully helpful. I know a lot of fire bans have come to an end in parts of Ontario just in time for the long weekend, and your long weekend forecast is looking pretty good. But let's talk about today. It was a soaker in many parts of, well, essentially all of southern Ontario. Pretty to look at those raindrops on those flower petals, but yeah, not great if you had outdoor plans. I know these precious summer days are becoming fewer and farther between. Tomorrow will be a great day to get outside, but it is going to be a little cool. In fact, I think you're going to need a light jacket or a sweater early tomorrow morning, but hopefully not an umbrella. Here's another look at the satellite and radar. We're starting to dry out again in most parts of the GTA. Still pretty unsettled for the west end, but anywhere north of Toronto, starting to move east and northwest, it is drier. You're still dealing with some rain around Niagara Way, and this is all part of a big area of low pressure situated over Quebec, and as it rotates, we're now getting some of those northwesterly winds. So that's ushering in cooler air, even though we are drying out. High pressure settles in for the weekend, which is going to mean glorious sunshine. But yeah, it is going to be cool to finish off this week and kick off the weekend. There's tomorrow. There could be a couple of scattered showers for some of the beach communities, maybe cottage country, for example. Here in the GTA, we expect a mixture of sun and cloud. At times, maybe a little more cloud than sun, but overall a decent day, albeit cool. We progressively get a little bit warmer as the weekend goes on. Saturday brings a mix of sun and cloud as well, mainly sunny skies for Sunday, Monday. Tuesday looks great as well, so that's your little sneak peek into next week. And maybe on this map, you can make out the fact that it is quite warm in Western Canada. We are going to start to get some of that heat returning once we can finally get rid of this trough. And with this, as you can see, temperatures are in the teens right across the Nickel Belt region, southern Ontario, and overnight tonight. We've been talking about this, some communities dipping into single-digit territory as far as the temperature is concerned. That could happen for us tonight here in Toronto. 9 is what we're forecasting. Again, the last time we had a single-digit overnight low was all the way back at the beginning of June. So there's your sweater weather for early tomorrow morning. Hopefully you can shed it in through the afternoon. And condition-wise, while we are expected to see temperatures remain in the teens, it's a mix of sun and cloud for most areas, and that chance of showers, as mentioned, a little further north and a little further west. Air show forecast, though, looks great. These are ideal flying conditions for Saturday, Sunday, and for Monday. Also, I think, ideal for viewing. Your 7-day forecast looks like this. Up around 24 degrees by Sunday, 25 for Labor Day. That looks lovely. Hey, back to school on Tuesday. Some summertime heat returning. And by Wednesday, it's going to feel like 30 again. That's the weather for now. Nathan, over to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Also tonight, the high school reunion we are all invited to, including Drake. A new documentary about the iconic TV show Degrassi High is premiering at TIFF.
From buying backpacks to getting haircuts, parents are busy getting the kids all ready for back to school.
But as our health reporter Pauline Chan tells us, as far as Toronto public health is concerned, getting immunization should be at the top of the list.
Toronto Public Health says getting school-aged children their proper vaccinations is essential.
We know that we still have measles exposures going on. And we know that something like measles, if it comes into a classroom or a school, can spread quickly. So we really want to be proactive and get ahead of that before school starts.
Right now, Toronto is standing at 8 lab-confirmed cases of measles, and the city is adding vaccination clinics to help school kids catch up with all their necessary shots.
We recognize that some children won't have a family doctor. So if that's the case, they can book an appointment with us at tphbookings.ca. And we have a number of clinics that we've added in September.
You can find the locations and book appointments through the Toronto Public Health website, but just as important as getting those shots is reporting them.
That's actually an important step. So they can go to our website, to the reporting page, and they can actually go ahead with either the student's health card number or an ID number that was put on a letter that they received from us.
And Dr. Vinita Dubé says that information is completely secure and not available to school officials.
So the school cannot look up your child's vaccination record. It is a secure health information. So they can do everything directly through Toronto Public Health.
Last spring, some 3,500 students experienced at least one day under suspension for incomplete vaccination records as they focused on grade 11 students.
So we will be starting the assessment of students who are in grades 2 to 5 this year. So they're born in 2015 to 2018, and they will be getting letters later on in the fall if their records are still not up to date.
If those records are not completed by spring, students could be suspended from school at that time. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
There were calls from Queen's Park today for the province to implement an overdose strategy.
Overdose deaths are preventable, but we need to act. In doing so, our communities will be safer for all of us. I am asking Premier Ford and Minister Jones to answer the call of Ontario families, healthcare workers, harm reduction workers, and so many others. Value the lives of people who use drugs. Value the families who are losing loved ones, and value their lives enough to act now.
Members of the NDP and harm reduction advocates say since the Ford government closed safe consumption sites, the number of overdoses at drop-in centers has risen dramatically. They're calling for a comprehensive plan to address the crisis.
Health Minister Sylvia Jones responded, highlighting the province's plan to open heart hubs across Ontario aimed at providing mental health and addiction support. A statement from the Health Minister's office reads in part, instead of giving people tools to use illegal drugs, our government is making record investments to help break the tragic cycle of drug addiction with more mental health and wraparound supports.
Production is now officially underway on a new Star Wars movie. Lucasfilm revealed the news today, along with an on-set image showing Ryan Gosling on set for his previously confirmed role in Star Wars Starfighter. The company also announced additional cast members, including Amy Adams and Matt Smith. It's set to be a standalone Star Wars film, one of several since the original 9-movie saga wrapped up in 2019. A separate new trilogy is also in the works.
Odds are, if you've watched TV at some point over the past 40 years, the show Degrassi, in any of its many eras, has found its way into your living room.
And as CTV's Andrea Case reports, the inspiration for a new documentary about to screen at TIFF came from an unexpected source.
There was a notice about auditions for this new kids show.
And then one day, my mom called me and told me, you got the role. And I just grabbed my bag and left. And man, what a wild journey that started.
The new documentary, Degrassi, Whatever It Takes, would never have happened without Ivy Mudd.
I started Degrassi, and I'm like, why is there no documentary about this?
Do you always take your daughter's advice?
From now on, I will, clearly.
It is the longest-running and most successful franchise in TV history.
2 years ago, the then 13-year-old Ivy began watching Degrassi from the very beginning of its 385 episodes. She asked her TV and film producer mother that fateful question.
It was pretty clear that, it sort of stands the test of time. So the question was, what's the future of it? And why not celebrate something that's 4 decades old?
Ivy was captivated by the TV show about a group of kids in a Toronto school and their lives inside and outside the classroom.
I think everything still holds up. It talks about things like eating disorders, and I feel like people can relate all over the world.
Cast members were game to take part in the documentary, including perhaps its now most famous former student, Jimmy,
Look at all these people.
a.k.a. Aubrey Graham, a.k.a. Drake. Mudd had to get the blessing of show creator Linda Schuyler, which was easier than she thought.
We had lunch. We sort of poured our hearts out, and I don't think that she had any expectations. Like, she was very hands-off.
As for getting accepted into the Toronto International Film Festival,
I've been around a while. This is my first TEF, and it is, it's incredible. And in our own town, in Toronto, with a franchise that is homegrown. It's a Toronto story, right? But arguably one of our biggest cultural exports. So it's amazing to be here.
Degrassi, Whatever It Takes, will have its world premiere on September 13th at 6:15 at Scotiabank Theatre.
Do you have your outfit picked out for the red carpet?
Not yet, but it has to be amazing.
Andrea Case, CTV News.
From one classic Canadian show to another, Much Music is celebrating the 25th anniversary of one of its most iconic performances ever. Intimate and interactive with the Tragically Hip took place 25 years ago today at the storied 299 Queen Studios. The band performed 17 songs and also fielded questions from fans in between. And you can watch or rewatch it starting tonight at 7 p.m. on Much Music's YouTube channel.
After the break, teaming up with a tennis legend at the U.S. Open, Canada's Leylah Fernandez holds court with Venus Williams in the Big Apple and gets a win in the double feature.
Somebody called at 10 p.m. to report the problem, and it took until like around 4 a.m. to have the water shut off. That's a long time.
Updating our top stories, a sinkhole has forced the closure of a busy East York intersection, and area homeowners are dealing with flooded basements after a water main break last night. The city says it quickly dispatched crews to Coxwell and Cosburn, but didn't shut off the water until the situation became more severe.
But for someone to then get out of their car or get into their car and then to run over this person, it is alarming.
Toronto police have arrested and charged a suspect with multiple offenses, including attempted murder. They allege he attempted to run over another man using his vehicle near Don Mills Road and Gateway Boulevard last night. A man in his 20s and another in his 50s were hurt. One suffered serious injuries, not considered life-threatening.
It's just exciting. Yeah. Exciting to watch and see stuff like that. We're both looking to get in the military, become fighter pilots. So it's just cool watching. That's a dream.
And aviation enthusiasts are already coming by the X grounds to get a sneak peek at preparations for the 76th International Air Show. It'll take flights this holiday weekend, Saturday through Monday, with viewing points available across the city for the late summer tradition.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photos, or video of breaking news, let us know.
Some good news for a pair of major banks in Canada as both topped analysts' expectations for quarterly profits. B&M Bloomberg's Lindsay Biscaya has tonight's business report.
Both TD and CIBC have beat profit expectations in their latest quarters. Earlier this year, higher interest rates and the threat of a trade war with the U.S. caused most banks to increase their loss provisions. But it turns out, so far at least, tariffs have had less of an impact on the economy than expected. Analysts say CIBC in particular outperformed its peers with a strong net interest margin and cost control. NVIDIA shares dipped slightly today, despite the company reporting better than expected earnings. The microchip giant says sales growth this quarter will remain above 50%. NVIDIA's CEO has said the company is getting ready to sell chips into China's AI market, although there is some uncertainty about that opportunity due to tensions between the U.S. and China. Desjardins is buying global investment management company Guardian Capital for around $1.6 billion. The publicly traded company will now be taken private. That deal is expected to close in the first quarter of 2026. And here's a look at how the trading day ended today. The Canadian dollar up slightly at 72.71 cents U.S. West Texas Intermediate climbed 45 cents to 64.60. Western Canadian Select also up 95 cents to 51.18. And the TSX is up as well, finishing at 28,434. And those are your business headlines. I'm Lindsay Biscaya.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
A new report suggests the cost of a hotel stay is getting pricier faster in Toronto compared to almost anywhere else in North America. Amex Global Business Travel says its modeling indicates prices could rise nearly 6% in this city next year. That's higher than any U.S. city. The report said more business and leisure travelers are expected to seek out Canadian destinations. The projected increase in hotel rates was even higher for Vancouver at 6.2%.
Meanwhile, you'll soon be seeing more electric vehicle chargers outside Tim Hortons locations. The restaurant chain is partnering with Quebec-based Flow, saying it will deploy EV fast chargers at 100 of its locations across all 10 provinces by the end of 2028. The installations are part of an investment from the Canada Infrastructure Bank. It committed $235 million to build more than 1,900 public EV chargers nationwide.
Former Raptors president Masai Ujiri has a new role with the United Nations. Ujiri is now the Sustainable Development Goals Advocate for the UN. The former Raptors exec was appointed by the Secretary General ahead of the 80th session of the UN General Assembly. Ujiri is the co-founder of Giants of Africa and Zaria Group and will now join a group of influential leaders and change makers to help raise global ambition and action.
A tennis power couple took to the court together at the U.S. Open today. Leylah Fernandez and Venus Williams played their first doubles match, and they were victorious. Fernandez from Quebec and the 7-time Grand Slam champ won their match against Ludmila Kichenok and Ellen Perez in straight sets. It's the first time Williams has won a women's doubles match at the U.S. Open in more than a decade. The 45-year-old Williams calls Fernandez the best partner I've ever played with, outside of her own sister, Serena, of course.
And Denis Shapovalov found himself in an entertaining and error-filled contest against France's Valentin Royer. It took more than 3.5 hours, despite lasting just 4 sets. Shapovalov eventually triumphed, advancing to the third round. Fellow Canadians Gabriel Diallo and Felix Auger-Aliassime are on the court this evening.
The city says it's partnering with Humber Polytechnic as a host city supporter for next year's FIFA World Cup. Humber will support the city's volunteer program to get the sports event running smoothly. Officials say it will involve recruitment, selection, scheduling, training, and volunteer recognition from the pre-tournament wrap-up through to the final whistle in July 2026. Humber's Lakeshore campus will serve as the home for the FIFA World Cup 26 Volunteer Center. Toronto, which will open later this year, volunteer applications are already being accepted online.
Fresh off the Blue Jays' win against Minnesota last night, young baseball players from across the GTA got the chance to sharpen their skills with one of the team's biggest names, second baseman Andrés Giménez.
I'm excited to see him because he's such a good second baseman, and I'm a second baseman and starting pitcher.
It's really amazing to, be an MLB player, yeah.
Flexwork Sports organized a youth baseball camp today on the campus of U of T Scarborough. Campers of all skill levels got the chance to get active and learn from the coaching staff led by Giménez. The 3-time Gold Glove winner said it was special for him to spend his off day with the kids.
Feels great. Always give back something for the kids. They're going to be the future. And yeah, for me, it's something that I really enjoy doing it. And I remember when I was a kid, and I was in that situation, always wanted to see a big league player. So for me, it's an honor to be here.
His advice to budding baseball players with dreams of reaching the majors is to stay determined and never give up.
Just ahead, the dog days of summer as far as city pools are concerned. As public swimming wraps up to people this weekend, beloved pooches get the green light for a special dip. We'll fetch you the details.
Tonight, an iconic Canadian whiskey moving a major plant south of the border.
People were leaving there with tears in their eyes and shock. It's something you never want to hear.
Why the bottler is packing up and how many jobs will be lost. Later on CTV National News.
And a reminder, CTV News at 6 is also on the radio, so we say hello to those of you listening live on News Talk 1010.
They've certainly been put to good use during all those scorching hot days over the summer.
But the time has come to close most of the city of Toronto's outdoor pools for the season. The last day of swimming is this Sunday before a handful of the facilities go to the dogs, quite literally. That's right, it's a tradition. Toronto's furry, four-legged residents are going to get their turn for a dip in the pool. Select outdoor facilities are hosting dog-only swims from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. on Sunday. That is after the pools close for human visitors. The dog swims are free, and a list of the pools offering the doggy dips are on the city's website.
It's funny how dogs like the pool, but they don't like the rain usually.
It depends. Some dogs are weird, but no, dogs, humans, no one's liking this rain.
Well, fortunately, the rain is tapering off. We are almost done with it, and you can get outside and enjoy maybe a little bit of sunshine before it sets. Not too long from now. Here's one more look at that satellite and radar. Yeah, still some wet weather around Niagara, southwest Ontario, eastern Ontario, but we are clearing here in Toronto. This is your next 3 at the CNE. Conditions looking pretty good, but it is a little cool for tomorrow. If you are escaping and heading off to cottage country for the last official long weekend of the summer season, conditions are going to be cool to start off, but progressively warming as the weekend goes. And then early next week, we get back into some summertime warmth, feeling closer to 30 in many cases, maybe some wet weather by Thursday. Michelle and Nathan.
Thanks, Lindsay. That's it for us, but be sure to join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zarada Ullman with our next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a great night.